So first up, we are going to start with the Tall Tales contest, and our speaker today is Jessica Petrie, with her title of Anything to Escape. Anything to Escape, Jessica Petrie. I can't do this. I can't do this. But really, she was just doing anything to escape. I can't do this. I'm not good enough. So many people are so much better than I am. Madam Contest Master, fellow Toastmasters, and guests, my daughter Courtney would do anything to escape math. When she was young, she hated math class. She was so smart and so good at so many things. She loved to read. She loved science class. The inquisitiveness, asking questions. She loved history and geography, but math, anything but math. I told her that it was okay because I was decent at math, and we would work through it together. So I told her to bring her homework home. We sat at the dining room table. She'd open up her book, and you could already see the frustration on her face. You could see it building. I took advantage because I had just brought the mail in, so I opened up the mail from the steam that was coming out of her ears out of frustration. Courtney, it's okay, calm down. We'll get through this together. But that didn't help. She started to cry. Just one tear at first, and then another. And then they just started coming, full of tears, and the floor was filling up with her water-filled tears. I had to hold on to the table because my chair started to float away. Courtney, calm down. It'll be okay. That only made her more mad. She wasn't frustrated anymore. Now she was getting mad at me. And you could see it, starting from her neck, get red. Up and up. It was just red. She was reaching her boiling point. And when she did, the floor did too, because it was filled with tears. The floor was boiling. I knew I had to do something. But what? There was no one to call out to. Nobody else was home. I didn't have my phone on me, so I couldn't call a neighbor to help. But the refrigerator was in the next room. I stood up on my chair. I knew it was a great distance, but I had to make this great divide. And I jumped, and I made it. No boiling feet, they're all okay. I grabbed a cup of water and gave it to Courtney. She started to calm down. She calmed down a little bit more, and a little bit more. And as I was walking back to her, I accidentally tripped. And she had water all over her clothes. She started laughing at that point. Was she laughing at me or at her wet clothes? I wasn't sure, but it didn't matter. Because now she was calm enough that we could sit down and do her math together. Madam Contest Master? Any other questions before we start the international contest? Okay. Our first speaker will be Jessica Petrie, speaking on the title, Engaging in Life. Engaging in Life, Jessica Petrie. They said that any accomplishment from the past month was worthy to go on the list. I sure hoped they meant it. I slowly stood up, cleared my throat, and began. Took the dog for a walk, praised my kids and their grades, walked up to strangers and said, "I'm shy, can you help?" Braided my daughter's hair, visited my husband at work. Madam Contest Master, fellow Toastmasters and guests, how far have you gone outside of your comfort zone in order to achieve a dream, or simply to engage in life? It wasn't until I had a panic attack that I realized that I was being my own biggest roadblock to my dreams. Every thought was filled with worry. It was as if a little family lived inside my head, arguing over the possibilities of every single thought. For example, I would get into my car to go home, and I could hear my dad saying, "Take the interstate, it'll be faster." And of course, my little girl self would plead, "Please, not the interstate, anything but the interstate. If there's a lot of traffic, there might be an accident, and you might be stuck there forever. What if I have to pee?" My older brother would pipe in. "She's right, you know. Besides, that interchange right before your exit, it's a tricky one. It's all about the timing. Just 2 cars can make you miss your exit." My mom had to put in her 2 cents. "What if you crash?" "Yeah, Mom. What if a UFO comes down and beams me up?" I worried more about figuring out what route to take than I did about actually driving home. And so it was with every single inconsequential little thought. But it wasn't only the little thoughts. It was things that made me feel alive that I would worry about. Like dancing. I love to dance. My kids get embarrassed at me because I dance all the time at home. Even if it's only the sound of whatever song is playing in my head. But at weddings, or if someone else is around, I'm not dancing. Because I could hear the little family in my head. Wait for a slow song, Jess. Then you can dance with your husband. He doesn't like to dance. Go out now while it's fast. Let's just dance. I want to dance. You're not a very good dancer. People will laugh at you, my dear. So I'd slip down in my chair, watching everyone else having fun. Worry was keeping me from engaging in life. And it was keeping me from important things, like meeting new people. What would I say? Whatever you do, don't talk about the weather. He can go outside to check the weather. Ask him about his job. Don't ask him about his job, then he'll ask you about yours, and you hate your job. Don't ask him about his job. Tell him about your kids. You've got great kids. That's just bragging, my dear. Just let him talk to you first. So I would never start a conversation until I had that major panic attack. And I decided that I'd had enough. I shoved that little family back into a soundproof room in the back of my head where they could argue all they wanted. But me, I was free at last. free to drive down the interstate whenever I wanted. And if I got stuck in traffic, it's okay. I would just relax, jamming to the radio. And if I missed my exit, so what? The next one's only 2 miles down the road, big deal. At weddings, I would not only dance, but I'd pull up a relative or two and make them dance with me. And I joined an improv class to get people to laugh at me on purpose. And so it was that fateful day when I realized if I can't talk to people, I will never achieve my dreams. So spontaneously, I got into my car, drove to the mall, walked up to complete strangers and said, "Hi, I'm Jessica. I'm shy. Can you help me?" Without the help of the little family arguing inside my head. Madam Contest Master.
Thank you, Walter. Our second speaker is Michael Anderson, titled Outhouses, The Key to World Peace. Outhouses, The Key to World Peace, Michael Anderson.
I hope you got that. That could save you a lot of discomfort. Might even save your life. Madam Contest Master, fellow Toastmasters, honored guests, I believe that the path to world peace is not paved with more nuclear weapons. It's not paved with more advanced weapons. It has nothing to do with more intelligence gathering. No. We need more outhouses. Now, this idea began to percolate in my mind when I was in Tajikistan. It was 2002, less than a year after the 9/11 attacks. Tajikistan is an inhospitable land. It's mountainous in a severe sense. The land is not fertile. It's like crushed gravel. After years of neglect while the Soviet Union crumbled, and then a civil war, the infrastructure of Tajikistan was a shambles. Roads weren't paved, and if they were still chock full of potholes. The major production in Tajikistan is aluminum. And I think that tells you everything you need to know about the strength of their economy. Now, on this particular visit, I was working with some musicians and NGO, or non-government organization workers. Unlike Tajikistan, the people are generous, they're warm, they're proud. And in my week with them, I grew to love them. And as an American, being in Tajikistan, I was granted rock star status. They couldn't believe an American would go to the trouble to get to Tajikistan, because you have to want to get to Tajikistan to get there. It's not easy. Maybe the affinity has something to do with the fact that we spent some of our time together at a campground outside of Dushanbe, the capital city. And yes, it was a dirt road to get there. Driving in, there was a pool on the right, but really it was a cholera pit. I can't begin to tell you what was growing inside that pool. And it was a color green I had never seen before. Further up the road was our dining shelter. It was a covered pavilion, no walls. Some picnic tables and chairs on the inside. And then you had the men's dorm, the women's dorm. Single-story, two-room, poured concrete buildings, very humble, with sheets hanging in the windows for privacy. Our bathroom, an outhouse. A 6-holer, 3 on each side. And by hole, I mean hole. There's no toilet seat, just a hole in the floor. And it was set off about 100 meters beyond the men's dorm, across a little creek. The creek actually was glacial runoff, which meant it was very refreshing, because that also served as our wash basin. when we needed to bathe. So, if in the morning you wanted to wash your face, or after using the outhouse, wash your hands, there's a bar of soap on the boulder right next to the stream. Now, the construction of this outhouse was wooden slats, complete with knot holes and gaps, maybe an inch or so in between each board. Usually when people used the outhouse, they went to the far side. But this made for a rather breezy construction, shall we say. So I had been advised, it'd be wise before you go in there to stomp your foot. Give it a good thump for two excellent reasons. One, you do not want a scorpion to come up from that crack and bite you. Two, you want to make sure that that floor had not rotted, because that is one floor you definitely don't want to fall through. Well, being as it had a rather breezy construction, it made no sense to keep the toilet paper in there, because if it rained, the toilet paper would be ruined. So toilet paper was kept in the men's dorm on a shelf. And if you had occasion to need the toilet paper, you simply grabbed the roll and took a stroll. Over the course of time, it became time. So I grabbed a roll of toilet paper and started my stroll across the stream. And along the way, I shared a knowing glance with my Tajik friends. They were there washing up, and that's when it hit me. The rock star veneer fell away, and my humanity shone through in all its glory. It was an emancipating moment, because we knew in an instant that our similarities far outweighed our differences. We had so many of the same aspirations, the same dreams, the same hopes, including the hope that we wouldn't fall through the floor of the bathroom. So my proposal is this: we build more outhouses. I think if the people of the United States could see their president walking across the White House lawn with a roll of presidential toilet paper, I think we'd all be just a little more humble. Imagine if at the United Nations, instead of bathrooms, the delegates shared outhouses. Or how about this? The next G12 conference, the high and the mighty, the leaders of our lands have to use six holders. Maybe then our eyes would be opened a little wider. Maybe our hearts would become a little more humble. Maybe our world would be a little more peaceful. Madam Contest Master.
Our third speaker today is Muzaffar Ahmad. His speech is titled God Connect. God Connect. Muzaffar Ahmad.
Good morning, fellow Toastmasters.
Good morning.
I would like to start by thanking the management of our club, Holly, Jessica, Deb, and all the judges and the members in general. It's good that our club is doing contests. It's the first time I'm participating, so start by appreciating all the effort. I know a lot goes into it. I saw everybody was huddled here and making sure everything goes right, so thanks for that. The topic I selected to talk about is called God Connect. It's a strange topic. It's a word that came to my mind when I was talking to Nicole, who's a colleague of mine. She loves to do crochet. That's her passion. And a couple of months ago, she was showing me a website, a blog that she's created about crochet that has hundreds of followers. And I was like, that's pretty cool. You have a blog that hundreds of people are following, visiting every day, sharing their comments, thoughts, ideas. I thought, well, I'm an IT person. I can create a blog too. I'll create one too. So the question was, what am I passionate about? I don't do crochet. Do I look like I do crochet? Probably not, right? So I thought, what's my passion? What am I interested in? So what came to my mind is our ability to think. As human beings, we use our brain, which is one of the very complex organs in our body, and probably one of those organs that we know the least about. That's my passion. I want to understand how our brain works. And I'm also passionate about knowing what God is. A lot of religions talk about God. Atheists don't believe in God. Some people have different ideas. And my study about religion, as much as I've done, everybody talks about a connection with God. Who is God? How does it communicate with us? That's one of the things I'm interested in knowing. So I created this blog and called it godconnect.blogspot.com. It's a Google website that you can set up your blog for free, and a lot of people can visit it. So I created this website, this blog, and before I go into a lot of detail, I would like to start a little bit about the brain. Our brain is what makes us human. A lot of animals, all the animals, almost all of them have brains. But what makes us a human, not just another animal, is our brain. It contains 100 billion neurons. And all those tiny little particles, they're working together, is what makes us human. And of course, we have senses that we use to communicate with one another. We can see, we can hear, we can touch, we can smell, we can taste. Those are our 5 senses that we are all familiar with. But then this thing called the 6th sense. We all know it exists. We don't exactly know what it is. We can sense things without any obvious reason why we are sensing. People can feel the emotions or feelings of their loved ones hundreds of miles away, on the other side of the world sometimes. And then this idea of dreams and visions, it also fascinates me. Let me start by telling you 2 stories. A lot of scientists have claimed to receive the breakthrough in their scientific research through dreams. There was a chemist, a German chemist in the 1800s. He was trying to decipher the molecular structure of this compound called benzene. And he was failing miserably. He was trying, failing, and one day while researching that, he kind of dozed off into a half-sleep, half-wake state. And in his dream, he saw a snake that had his tail in his mouth, so forming a ring structure. When that scientist woke up, he realized that benzene has a circular structure, and that was a major breakthrough in chemistry. Similarly, the scientist who invented the sewing machine, the machine we used to make clothes with, when he was trying to invent that machine, he was stuck at a point where he couldn't make any more progress. So he went to sleep, and he saw a dream. In the dream, he was abducted by a king who gave him the task of inventing the sewing machine. And if he failed, he would be killed. So he's seeing that dream. He tries, he fails, he's put on, tied to a tree, and people are coming to kill him with spears and arrows, and everybody's shooting arrows at him, throwing spears at him. And what he noticed was that all those spears had a hole in its tips. He woke up from that dream, it was 4 a.m., he realized that's the missing piece. The needle of my sewing machine does not have a hole in its tip. And by 9 a.m., he had invented the sewing machine. So where did it come from? And when I hear these stories, I feel like that's what these religious entities like Adam and Moses and Jesus and Muhammad, they all claim to have this connection with God. And when I think about it, they were either true, what they were saying is, or they were probably crazy, or something in the middle. But what interests me is that some of them claim to have personally spoken to God, so a voice-to-voice communication. Some of them have seen dreams. some you claim to have talked to angels. And that's one thing that's common in the message, which makes me believe that whatever they felt, or they heard, or they saw, seems to be coming from the same place because they have the similar message. So what I'm passionate about is learning more from your experiences, from the world's experiences, as to how those religious deities communicated with the divine, if there's a divine out there. So what I would request you at the end is to go and visit my blog. What's the address of the blog? godconnect.blogspot.com. Thank you very much.